Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another Threezero G.I.Joe 1/6 scale figure unboxing and review video. Now today we are going to be taking a look at none other than Storm Shadow himself. Now I do have to say a massive thank you to Threezero for organising this production sample. If you would like to pre-order your very own Storm Shadow, or he very well may be shipping at the time of releasing this video, check out the link down below to head over to toyswonderland.com. They have 12-month installment plans and an awesome rewards program. What we are going to do now though is get the box laying flat in the light box and do the unboxing. Here of course we have the box art for Storm Shadow. It's done in a very action-packed style, big honkin' explosion, red, white and blue stripe along the front, and of course an image of the figure himself. Now you can open up the front cover to reveal a Cobra logo and a sneak preview of Storm Shadow. We do have a logo showcasing his head sculpt on the side and a bunch of images of him in various poses. Now I personally really did like the snake eyes, but I've been sticking with the movie versions of the G.I.Joe characters. I know the movies aren't the greatest in the world, but I really do like their costume designs. Whether or not I stick with this guy or the film version remains to be seen. But here we have him. One thing that's different between this guy and Snake Eyes is the fact that they've gone with seamless arms. How will that affect articulation? Well, we'll find out later on in the video, but first impressions are pretty positive. Now we do have one tray up on top and another down below, so what we are going to do now is get all of his accessories laid out in the light box and take a closer look at everything he comes with. Here we have all of the bits and pieces that come with Storm Shadow. Now you'll notice right off the bat there is no display base. I don't know why Threezero are so persistent with not including a base. Please Threezero, these are high-end 1/6 scale figures. Do them justice, include a base. Now let's start off by taking a look at his bow first. It's a relatively simple design. We do have a few bits and pieces including a sight and a real working elastic string up the back. Now of course to go along with the bow, you do get 6 individual arrows. These can be stored on the body, but unfortunately there's only room in the quiver for 4 of them. They are relatively sharp, so do be careful not to prick yourself, and they do have a little bit of detail up the end there for the feather style section. Now that's not it for the weapons, you also get 2 swords. These can also be stored on the body. They're done in a relatively simple metallic silver, some gunmetal, and of course some detail down there on the hilt. Lastly, for the weapons, you also get a pair of nunchucks. These are relatively cool. You do have a real metal chain, and these can also be stored on the belt, so you pretty much have room for all of his weapons on the figure himself. Lastly, you do get an array of hands. They're fairly decently sculpted and painted with some texture and detail on the back with a couple of wrinkles to make it look like a real glove, and they also do have a wash just to bring out all of that detail. What we are going to do now though is get Storm Shadow himself out here and take a closer look. Here we have him standing straight up and down in the light box, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that. And oh my, this guy looks fantastic. I wasn't entirely sure based off some of the early pictures I saw, he just looked like a dude wearing an all-white outfit. But trust me, and you'll see this in just a second, there is a lot going on here. It's not as simple as it otherwise seems on paper. Speaking of seams, there aren't any on the arms here. That is something that I was also worried about. But luckily, they've done an amazing job. Overall, so far, for this comic/retro classic version of Storm Shadow, I personally am pretty happy. What we are going to do now though is take him off the rotating turntable, punch in and take a closer look at the details. Here we have him up close and personal. Now with me not being the biggest G.I. Joe fan in the world, I don't exactly know if this look is based off anything in particular, whether it's from the books or the TV series or even the old retro toys. But either way, I can appreciate a badass design when I see one, And I mean, we have a white-clad ninja with a sleeveless armored tank top and a bunch of weapons. What's more badass than that? This guy looks awesome. Now, starting off with the head sculpt first, I like it. They've gone with a fully sculpted head rather than covering it in fabric, although the neck underneath is fabric. Now initially, yes, there is a color tone difference between the neck and the head, which is painted versus material, but trust me, at a distance it looks like one seamless balaclava. I also like the hood. It's a soft, supple material, and there is a wire running around the edge so you can shape it nicely, it doesn't ride up too high, and it doesn't sit too low. You can, of course, remove it to access the entire sculpt, and there's even sculpted and painted details all the way around. This head sculpt definitely works for me. I also like the really mean look to the furrowed brow. Now, I do want to discuss the arms. Usually, I'm not a huge fan of seamless arms. It's no secret, I prefer joints rather than a fully seamless look. But it does work here. They've pegged the arms in separately to the body, so that means they move independently of the torso. There's no stressing, there's no creasing, and hopefully no cracking. They've also done an awesome job of sculpting in all of the musculature and vein work, and then they've put some shading and skin tone over the top. These are some of, in my opinion, the best 1/6 scale seamless arms that I've ever seen. Even over and above some of the Hot Toys ones, they are very impressive. They do feel quite thick and sturdy, so hopefully they do last the test of time. I also like the split cut design for the gauntlet and the glove. That means you can move the hand independently of this piece, rather than having one connected unit. Now, as for the torso, they have done a rubbery overlay here, and that means it's completely fixed. It's one solid piece of armor, but at the very least, the sculpt is awesome. It's kind of giving me Robin vibes, but it works. I don't know if I'm going crazy in saying that, but I just love the way it looks. We've got this zipper down the front, a big honkin' red Cobra logo, and they have done a little bit of wash in the crevices just to bring out all of the details. You can also see I have both swords, 4 arrows, and also his nunchucks all stored on his person. His belt is a separate piece which can be moved around depending on the pose. Now, coming down to the pants, they're super simple. It's literally a fabric pair of pants. That means you shouldn't have any issues when it comes to posing. They've also put a teeny amount of dirt and grime on the surface just so they don't look too clean and a crisp, stark white. Lastly, coming down to the boots, or what I should say is wraps and shoes, because they are 2 separate pieces. These have a very nice material-like sculpt to them, and they do sit over the boot, but it still moves independently. I also love these shoes. They are very thin, so technically I can't really see a real human foot going in there, but they are a very stylized design. The sculpt is very impressive, and I love the silver soles underneath. Now, on paper, this design would be a little bit boring, a fully white-clad ninja, but what they've done here is they very cleverly integrated some greys, some gunmetals, and some silvers in just the right places to, in my opinion, make this guy pop on the shelf. Now for a quick side-by-side comparison, here we have Storm Shadow next to the Threezero Snake Eyes, and these two work perfectly together. As you'd expect, they are meant to go alongside one another, they're meant to complement each other. Now they are making alternate versions of both Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. They're doing a red costume version for Snake Eyes and some other kind of claw-wielding version of Storm Shadow, so do let me know if that's something you'd like to see reviewed on the channel. But for now, having these two, for me, is more than enough for my G.I.Joe collection. They look fantastic. Just going over articulation on Storm Shadow. Now bear in mind this is my personal copy of the figure, so I'm going to be a little bit more careful. I'm sure when you get yours in hand, you can push the joints slightly further than I'm willing to go. Now, starting off with the head sculpt, it is on a fixed neck, but it is a rubbery one, so you do get a little bit more range of motion going forward and back, swivel and pivot side to side. Now, with the arms being pegged in separately to the body, they move independently of the torso. They go up to about there on super sturdy ratchets. They will swivel forward and back. Now, there is a swivel at the bicep, but you do have to bend the elbow to activate it. As you can see, underneath the rubber, it does swivel. You have a double bend at the elbow, once again on ratchets, and of course a regular 1/6 scale style wrist peg. Now, the torso is covered in this hard armor, so you don't get a ton of crunch, nor do you get a bunch of swivel, but you do get a little bit of pivot. Now, with the legs being entirely covered in fabric, they go forward the full way, same thing going out, swivel at the upper thigh, a rather generous double bend at the knee, and of course a ball joint down here at the ankle. Just wrapping up on the Threezero Storm Shadow. Now, going into this, I was pretty darn excited. I own their Snake Eyes, he's fantastic, and so too is Storm Shadow. If you own Snake Eyes, I reckon you owe it to yourself to get this guy. You can't have one without the other. They go so well together. The super intricate design of Snake Eyes' outfit plays very nicely off a more simplified design here with Storm Shadow, but there's still a lot going on. It's not just a stark white outfit as I was hoping that it wouldn't be. I was worried it was going to look boring. But trust me, in hand there is a lot to see here. There's a bunch of sculpted pieces which are really nicely painted, and then we have the awesome seamless arms. They're sculpted really well, they feel nice and durable, and they can bend quite a significant amount. Plus there are ratchet joints, so they are very nice and sturdy. I would have liked to have seen swap out jointed arms in the box, mind you, but coming from a company that doesn't even give us display bases, I reckon that is a little bit too much to ask. I still am keen to pick up the rest of their G.I.Joe line if they do indeed decide to make more, so fingers crossed they make good use of this license. Now, if you are looking to pick up your own Storm Shadow, he is available from toyswonderland.com. Link for that is of course down in the description below. They do have 12-month installment plans and an awesome rewards program. Also check out the link to 6 Scale Network, the awesome Facebook group. Come along, chat figures, share photos of your collection, and of course, see what's coming up next on the channel. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video.